But in it, you go through and you bring people back to their original identity, that they are whole, that they are God's beloved, they are a masterpiece. Talk a little bit about how you came about those different ideas and experienced it yourself.
Yeah. So being a hockey player, right, my identity was in it. And I signed my first pro contract in 2010 in Russia because I wasn't good enough in the States. And when that fell through, visa issues, my identity was
Right.
crushed. It's like, okay, who is Cory now? Because I was the hockey player. And figuring that out. So that's why I love so much to talk about identity, because my identity was what I brought to the table. And being just floored with knowing that all those words I talk about in my book are already spoken to me before I even took a breath is wild. And I love now in the counseling world. So I went into counseling in 2019 because, in the pastor world, you're expected to wear all these hats. And I was like, this is wrong for me to be offering counseling advice without having the education to back it
I
up.
love that.
So I
Yep.
went to Global Grace Seminary to do a counseling degree and graduated in 2021. And one of the biggest shifts in even how I do ministry, specifically in the counseling world, is you have to start off first and foremost by helping people understand that their brokenness is not their identity. Brokenness is what happens to them, their trauma, their childhood experience. That's what's happened to you. And so many times we attach our identity to the things that have happened to us, but wholeness has been and will always be people's truth. And so
Come on.
brokenness is the illusion that's created by trauma, but wholeness has been, will always be who you are in God's eyes. And that's my most passionate and favorite thing to talk about with people, which unfortunately is what is it? It's contradictory, not contradictory. It's I just went blank on the word. The C word.
Counterintuitive.
No, controversial. That's what I was going for.
Oh yeah.
Why is this so controversial to align myself with how my Father in heaven views me? And I blame the church, I love the church so much, but I'm also very critical of her, especially around this idea, because we say, oh, what's humility? I was at that youth conference where the youth pastor, like, who thinks they're humble? And you have half the kids raise their hand and then he shames them for the next 30 minutes. It's like, okay, well, Moses said about himself that he was the most humble man that ever lived, right? John writes about himself that he's the disciple whom Jesus loved. Like maybe we have misunderstood humility, and this false humility that you can't take credit for anything is doing more harm to the body because we don't think that we're amazing. You should think that you're amazing because God thinks you're amazing. Who are you going to agree with?